Hello, and welcome to Lost in Suikoden Translation, where this time we'll be taking a closer look at all things related to cooking in Suikoden II. In particular, we'll be examining the Black Dragon cooking group and how two separate localizations haven't done the best job with actually localizing them. As usual, this series contains spoilers, so without further ado, let's get started. To start us off, let's talk a bit about the MacGuffin at the center of the plot that sets the cook-off plot in motion. In the localized versions, it's called the Moonbird recipe. But in Japanese, it has a longer name that gets lost in translation, which translates to Tears of the Blue Moonbird recipe. Since it's a bit of a mouthful in English, the localization had to shorten it a bit and dropped the first half. In both the original and remastered localizations, the group that's hunting Yo is called the Black Dragon Group or Clan, leaving it a mystery what they actually do. In Japanese, their purpose is made clear as they're called the Black Dragon Cooking Group, and they're led by 4 chefs known as the 4 Heavenly Kings, though the localization tends to just refer to them as the 4 Lords. The localizations also like to call Gyokuran and Jinkai the Grand Wazoo of the group, which is slightly problematic, as Grand Wazoo is a euphemism for big anus. And while I'm certain that there's a couple of localizers giggling like schoolgirls over their own wit with that one, suffice to say no one is called that in Japanese. The term 4 Heavenly Kings comes from Buddhist mythology, where this is the name given to the 4 gods that guard the 4 cardinal directions of the world and the world itself. In the game, the 4 Heavenly Kings are also given titles that correspond to 4 mythological beasts that are also said to be guardians of the 4 cardinal directions, and are known as Genbu of the North, Suzaku of the South, Byakko of the West, and Seiryu of the East. And this is where the localization gets a bit weird, because they didn't translate those titles, so the symbolism of the names gets lost. Yo was given the name Seiryu by the group, and the localization never explains what that is. So it just looks like his name was originally Seiryu, and he just changed it to Yo to try and hide from the group. But that is not the case. Seiryu means Azure Dragon, so Yo the Seiryu means Yo the Azure Dragon, which explains why there's a flag with a blue dragon on it on the wall during the cook-offs. You'd think flaunting it like that might be a bit counterproductive to the whole hiding thing he had going on, but no one's accused him of being clever. Gyokuran's title is given either as the Suzaku or just one of the 4 lords of the Black Dragon clan, but in the original localization she was the first to be termed the Grand Wazoo instead. In Japanese, she's known as Gyokuran the Suzaku, which means the Vermilion bird. Retso's title only gets mentioned in his introduction during the actual cook-off, but in both the original and the remaster he's called Retso of the Byakko, though they misspell it as there's supposed to be 2 Ks in Byakko. In English, he should be Retso the White Tiger. Jinkai is the founder and leader of the Black Dragon cooking group, and in both localizations he's termed the Grand Wazoo, but also Jinkai of Genbu, which doesn't make much sense, though it's at least better than the Grand Wazoo. Actually translated, it would be Jinkai the Black Tortoise. And while we're on the topic of the cook-offs, I wanted to mention how the game itself is a bit broken. The blue bar to the right of the timer is called the preparation bar and determines how well cooked your dishes are, and in order to increase it, you have to mash the X button. And if it's not full when the timer runs out, you'll get a penalty to your score. If it's below 50%, your score will be halved. If it's below 70%, they're 30% lower. Or they should be. In actuality, it does nothing. The meter increases automatically during the cook-off, and because of the way they programmed it, it will always end at least 78%, even if the player does nothing, so there's no way for the penalties to ever come into effect. So there we go. That's it for this episode of Lost in Suikoden Translation. Still here? Okay, as thanks for watching to the end, here's a bonus for you. Mamie from Suikoden III is actually first mentioned during this quest, as she is the daughter of Bashak, though in the original localization her name was translated as Mamie, but this was fixed in the remaster. And that wraps up this episode of Lost in Suikoden Translation, and I'll see you next time.